I got a story here about Tarantino that I mentioned I was going to get to earlier. This is, I don't know, it doesn't seem really new, but I thought it was interesting. I'm always thinking about the sort of modern consumption methods for media. And of course, this is relevant right now because the movie theater seems like a thing that's, I don't know if it'll ever come back the way it was, given the state of things in the world. It's going to come back for sure. I know AMC, the CEO of AMC, made some controversial comments about masks, but they are coming back. Movie theaters, they're definitely not done yet.
Unfortunately, it's a losing battle with theaters.
So you think they're done?
Yeah, I mean, people at home just
Yeah.
watching movies.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking
It's
about.
not an experience anymore.
I agree with you. Consumption habits, it's all different, but you have to admit it's kind of unfortunate because that is a real way to experience a movie.
Definitely.
You know, big screen, the whole thing. So I hope they stick around at least in some format.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, and as far as the representative amount of our content consumption that happens in the movie theater, you're right. We're already trending that way before everybody got isolated and locked up. And then now you got all these empty movie theaters and people are sitting tight in those places. So it's kind of gets a bit squirrely. You're shoulder to shoulder those places.
For like 2 hours.
Somebody coughs in there and I don't know. But anyway, Tarantino, he's got a reputation for being a purist when it comes to the movie theater experience, to the extent that he even requests or wants higher resolution, in his particular case, bigger film, 70 millimeter film to debut movies. We would call it resolution in the digital world. But anyway, he's a purist to that degree. So this story emerges, it's covered here in Complex, about a meeting that Tarantino had with NBC Universal where they pitched that The Hateful Eight should come out on iPhone, launch on iPhone. Now, I don't know what they meant by that. Did they mean on a streaming service like Netflix? Did they mean as an app you could buy? Did they mean within iTunes or one of Apple's delivery services at the time? They don't really go into too much detail, but apparently Tarantino stormed out of the place when it was suggested. Stormed right out. How dare you even suggest such a thing? Because he wants it to be experienced in the whole big way. And in fact, he was coming into that same meeting to pitch that they would debut it at 70 millimeters, which would then tack on even more money because obviously that's an expense. It's printing 70 millimeter film, and the budget was already $70 million. It's a lot of 70s. So this article just goes on to talk about this transition, even for your traditional filmmakers, the guys we grew up with. It also talks about Scorsese and how he made the deal for the Netflix Irishman deal for a bunch of money, and had his apprehensions about it, how people were going to consume the content. And of course, a filmmaker's going to care. You know how tedious it is, the years, and then the shot, and then the shadows, and the lens, and the flare, and then the person's on their phone, and they're multitasking. And they're texting. The
screen's like a quarter of it.
Yes, and they have the picture-in-picture Hateful Eight, and he's fighting for 70 millimeter. You see how that goes, Will? What the people?
He's a purist.
What people will do with something, just for convenience. It's crazy, man. I mean, that's like kind of like what goes on in general with our selection process when it comes to news and things like this. We select for convenience, even when it's at a major detriment to our own experiences. Just convenience at all costs. Quick and easy. I can watch it now on my phone and I got it here anyways. Okay, fine. Never mind movie theater. For who? I got a TV sitting right there and I'll just watch it on the phone as I multitask. So anyways, Scorsese at the time, he kind of, for an older guy, I think he gets it because he simply put it in nice terms. I would suggest, if you ever want to see one of my pictures or most films, please don't look at it on a phone, please. An iPad, a big iPad, maybe. So I like that.
He's embracing
I
technology.
like that.
for
It's
what it
admitting,
is.
yes, it's admitting, let's not be crazy with this thing. We got to be honest with ourselves about what the world is right now. And so that leap is nowhere near the same as the 70 millimeter film or even trying to get it on the TV. He said, okay, the TV's too hard. Let's get it on a big iPad. And so he might be right. It might be as good as it gets in this day and age. But of course, you're going to pick up a lot more nuance. You're probably going to enjoy the experience more. And even in the case of Tarantino, towards the end of the article, he made some concessions, eventually made a deal with Netflix to provide even more footage from Hateful Eight to turn it into some sort of a mini series using extra content. And so he kind of gave in on that front because they were willing to give that a shot. And so maybe even he's softening up to the new age and the new era. And you kind of have to. If you're going to stick around, you're going to stay in this game. And I think what he ended up doing with the 70 millimeter, he just put it into select theaters. Like obviously they couldn't roll that out to all the various theaters back in the Hateful Eight days. We'll see what happens going forward as far as movie theaters are concerned. I know right now it's all digital launches. What's the recent one they really wanted to do a movie theater for, and then they had to do digital, or not movie theater, drive-ins. It got canceled. I talked about it recently. Well, The King of Staten Island or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
And I think Trolls 2. Trolls 2 was another release that they couldn't figure out what to do with, and then they go straight to digital. So you can go. There are some drive-ins around here open though. I don't know if you've ever been to a drive-in.
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah, so the drive-in experience is a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's great.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. So you have the really big picture. The one thing that suffers is the sound.
Yes. Yeah.
The sound, you don't have the surround sound experience.
No.
It's just whatever your car can do. Your car might have a nice sound system, but you're still coming through the FM transmitter.